on air. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We know you are faced with lack of attention. You have issues to do with friendship acceptance, partnership acceptance. You lack confirmation in what you are doing. You lack confirmation with your partners, from your partners. You have academic pressure. We know you have biological issues. You are not getting children. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the Wellness Hour, and with me, I am having Counselor Malay Muhammad Ali with us, and we are going to be diving into understanding more to do with mental health, more to do with depression, more to do with stress, how we cope up with it. This week, a young man goes on WhatsApp, sends a message to a family, tells them, I think I've been a burden. In fact, he says, I have been a burden in life, and I'm sorry I'm going to be a burden when I even happen to take my life. So he switches off the phone. They try to reach his phone. John, they fail to get him, only to get news that he has taken his life away by falling off from a story building, Tagore Towers in Kamocha. But I may say this is a cause of caused by depression and other related issues that we're going to be talking about today. Other peoples have been a victim of the vice we are to discuss today. And with me, I have an expert, counselor. I told you, he's called Ali Muhammad Malay. Mr. Ali.
Yes, please.
You're welcome to the Wellness Hour.
Thank you very much, Brother Yakubu. I'm privileged to be here, and I hope that the public will benefit from this discussion and dialogue. Inshallah.
I've not greeted you, but I won't take any minute longer without diving into the conversation.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Muhammad, I want to know briefly, tell us about yourself. Tell us how you come to end up into this field of counseling.
Thank you very much. My name is Malay Muhammad Ali. The public normally knows Malay Ali, but all of them are my names. I started the school in a primary school called Mugong Primary School, somewhere after Chengela. And then from there I went to Kawempe Muslim Secondary School, where I completed O-level, then connected it to Kakunguru Memorial School, Chivuli. And then after, I had to connect with Chambogo University, and my first area of education was education in secondary school, or a diploma in secondary school. While during my time of school, when I was doing school, I remember I was doing school education, educating the young ones at Shinawa High School. I did some part-time work in Kakunguru Memorial. And then there was also another school, Crane High School, Makerere down here, and the other schools. So while there, I realized that students are going through a lot that many administrators and schools were not understanding. So I was wondering how best can the students be helped in such circumstances. Now that I have knowledge in education, what value can we add to these students who are struggling? They are really indeed struggling. Sometime I had a school in Mitiana, a rural school. I also did some work there. I realized that real parents are going through a lot. So I was wondering how best can we address this problem. I had a friend of mine, he was called Father Ganze. when I had a dialogue with him, he told me, but you know, when you are doing something, you may not know exactly that you have a certain direction of a career, but someone else will help you to identify and say, but you seem to be an aspiring lawyer.
And that comes when you
an
have
aspiring
an open mind.
Exactly.
To be told and understand what you
Exactly. So when I had this voice from him, together with other voices, I realized that my despite teaching, my other area of interest was psychosocial support.
Psychosocial support.
So I connected with Chambogo University. I did a bachelor's in counseling, and after that I started practicing as a professional counselor, and from there I became a trainer. I had also to start training other counselors.
Do you have a specific field that you tackle in counseling? I want to assume that counseling is a very broad discipline, and I want to know, do you have a specific field that you partake in this broader discipline?
At the bachelor's level, you do different course units, and these course units are entitled at broadening your understanding, your mind, your perspective into different areas of life, especially humanity. So in this, there are very many course units that will over, I think, 22, 24, something like that at bachelor's level. But they help you to understand different areas, because you're going to handle life. And the domains of life are very many. So if someone is struggling with the financial domain or a mental health domain, you need knowledge to handle that given situation. But when you go to master's level, you reduce to around 8 course units.
Did you do masters?
Yes.
Okay.
So you
That's
reduce.
how far interested you were. You got interested in the field.
Yes, definitely. When I was doing practice at bachelor's level, I was elected as advocate of Uganda Counseling Association. That's a professional body that unites counselors. So while doing that work for some good time, I realized, my magnitude, rather the magnitude of understanding how people are suffering increased. I realized that
because you got faced with
exactly
different people
head on,
faced with that problem.
the different sectors. You can imagine advocating for a full professional body that unites thousands of
Become the center of a lot of
professionals.
issues.
Exactly. So eventually I realized that there is a lot that we have to delve into. So that's why I had to go up to the master's level yes. So at master's level, you narrow down to different areas. You find that you do psychopathology, you do abnormal psychology, you do marital family therapy, you do internship, what we call practicum, and they are given hours which you have to accomplish by record under supervision. You do research, you present
These hours are
papers.
subject to scrutiny by
The supervisors.
the association.
First by the university,
Okay.
then later by the association, because there are accreditation standards, and you are subjected to around, at least you must have done over 360 something hours of real practice handling clients. So it is from this that my baseline or my boundaries of understanding psychosocial support increased. Eventually, it kept on increasing. And then from there, by that time I was still employed by some organizations. I remember I worked with some women.
So as we speak now, I want to know specifically the field you handle as a counselor. Are you general, or you have where you feel like this is where I've concentrated my expertise?
Okay.
The specialization. For the viewers.
For the viewers to understand. Okay. There are 5 important things for the public to understand. There is what we call psychosocial support. Then there is professional counseling. Then there is guidance.
Okay.
Then there is coaching.
Those are 4.
Coaching. And then there is mentoring and others, as the list may broaden. We handle all those areas.
An expert.
Yes, even beyond, even beyond.
Professional. Professional and guidance.
Yeah.
Then coaching and mentoring.
Exactly. Now, when you break them down, you realize that the roots will take you to family, marital, child, youth, education, humanitarian kind of therapy, or the therapeutic models, other different therapeutic models. So you broaden, and then, but basically, when we are in the counseling world, you realize that someone is good at family, another one is good at marital, another one is good with the youths, another one is good with the children. So for me, basically me, I am very good at family, marital, and then adolescents and teens. Those are my specific areas of concentration. But if there is another client beyond these boundaries, definitely you're bound to assist, depending on the psychosocial assessment that you do, depending on how you diagnose. Yes, depending on the diagnosis to the client.
Should you call them patients or clients?
No, for us,
people that you handle.
For us in the psychosocial support, they are clients. Because patient, when you say patient, it stigmatizes a lot, and it will mean a lot for that person. We are always very sensitive.
The problem look big.
Yes, because when you say patient, I definitely will say, now what am I
points are going to be calling for medicine.
What am I suffering from? Then someone starts to wonder, am I mad? So those are some of the challenges we have in the psychosocial support world, or professional counseling world. You realize that calling a client patient, calling a client like mentally ill, those are very big words. And yet in psychosocial support or in professional counseling, we are giving care. And this care is meant to soothe, rehabilitate, and bring what we call the holistic well-being of a person.
No wonder we are on the wellness hour.
Yes. So the holistic well-being of a person has so many dimensions. So a person offering psychosocial support or professional counseling needs, maybe later you'll ask me about the domains of well-being, but
definitely.
But you realize that the counselor himself or herself has to be sensitive.
Definitely.
don't call, we don't give brands, don't give labels, you don't
label your clients.
you don't judge them.
That may be seem judgmental to that.
Exactly.
Well, what is a typical day for a counselor like you? What is a typical day when you're engaging with the client? What is it like?
Okay, normally the business begins with a call. You get a call. Hello, yes, am I speaking to Ali Male? Yes. I got your contact from such and such a person, or I got a referral from this. Normally the business relies on referrals. So I'd like to be helped. I have a problem with my son, or in the family, or with my husband, or with my wife. So when you get a call, then the next thing is to look through your appointment schedules, and then you fix up an appointment for this person or for this client. Now when you fix, there are some that you fix an appointment in the near future, but there are those who need urgent and immediate attention, like the one who's going to commit a suicide. Sometimes they may not tell you on phone, but you'll assess. From the assessment and evaluation, you realize that this one needs attention immediately. So there are those that you give immediate attention. You either tell them to come and see you, or you reach out immediately. Exactly. So where are you? Because even reaching out immediately is saving life, is promoting the well-being of this person. It is empowering, it is encouraging, and it is bringing back resilience and meaningful life.
So here you are, you've reached out to them, you've gotten where they are, or they've come to you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, of course you take them through what you are supposed, what we call the informed consent. You go through the informed consent, and informed consent is a legal kind of procedure. As you said, you're a lawyer. Exactly. An informed consent is a procedure that you must take to inform the client what type of therapy, what type of therapeutic models or psychosocial support you are going to, and your level of expertise and how experienced you are. The client is supposed to know before
they accept you.
Before they accept, yes.
So that they can make an informed consent.
Exactly.
Which we call an informed consent.
So the elements of the informed consent include ensuring confidentiality. Yeah, because that is the root principle of counseling. You must ensure confidentiality. And how you will keep the confidentiality so that this client who is afraid of the public,
because I want to believe it doesn't stop at you telling them, okay, feel free, I'm not going to let anyone know about your issue. If for instance your son is faced with issues of let me say homosexuality, and then you want to talk to this person to do with advice and all that. No, you're supposed to assure them. In fact, we use the word assuring confidentiality. Let them know you're a professional. Let them know your information is not going to leak, and in case it links, of course it will enter into the litigation boundaries, and somebody can sue you for the damages, especially psychological damages. Now, in this case, tell them how you keep the records, because you'll be undertaking some records. Part of the record is the informed consent the client signs. Have you faced a scenario, before we go deep in what a day looks like, a typical day? Have you faced a problem where, I know you don't do it for the Ali I know, have you faced a problem of maybe, you never know, with the information flow we are having, where a client is accusing you to have leaked their information. Maybe it came from another third party, which is not even a part of your team, not even from you, but then it came from an anonymous third party. Then the client is accusing you to have leaked this information. Have you faced such a problem in your...
No, it is very rare. The one case I got was of course most of these people are vulnerable people, and they are not very sure of what will happen next. So in case some information leaks, then they will think it is you, but you remind them that, remember, we signed somewhere that we shall keep the confidentiality. There is no way professionally this information could have leaked. Now, sometimes some of us who speak to the media, of course, they will think...
You shed a light of examples.
Yes. You are not... The ethics... how do you call it?
Your hands are tied.
You're tied. I mean, ethically, the association, the professional body, you are accountable to that professional body. You are also accountable to the client, and you are accountable to your profession.
Okay. True.
So there is no way...
To yourself, if I may say.
Yes, there is no way you'll find a real profession having this kind of leakages to disturb the confidentiality of the client, because in any case it is an element of psychological first aid. The moment you assure confidentiality and you really keep it,
it builds confidence within you.
Yes, I don't know whether we have much time, but I can broaden this confidentiality. There are elements under that confidentiality. One, you are supposed to keep confidentiality. You don't tell anybody. Then there are conditions when you are supposed to break confidentiality, which we shall come to later.
Yeah, I want to know you tell us the exceptions of...
The exceptions of confidentiality. Yes. Sometimes when you tell them about this, one, when there is a child abuse, anything that affects children, because the law describes them as minors. So the law,
they are innocent.
they are innocent. The law is the one that protects and speaks for them. So if there is any abuse, if there is anything that the client will tell you about a child who has been abused, let's say for example sexual abuse, sexual assault, so those cases that normally come.
Rape.
Yes,
I
rape.
raped my daughter.
Exactly,
like
exactly. Now you have to inform the client that under this circumstance we are obliged to break confidentiality, but we break it also carefully. We only break it to the concerned people. One, the law enforcers. Two, and then in law enforcement, there are particular people who help at family and child protection unit. They are trained how to handle it. So you're supposed to break that confidentiality to the officer or to someone who will not mishandle it to cause a big crisis. Then two, when there is somebody wanting to commit suicide, there you're not supposed to keep quiet as a profession. You break confidentiality to next of kin, relative, the immediate person this person is staying with. That's why sometimes when they come for support, say you take them through the therapy, but you're not sure of what will happen in the night. Then you say, whom do you stay with? On this file, I didn't tell you, I work with A to Z Professional Counseling.
A to Z Professional Counsel
and Support Center.
Okay.
So on that file, there there is a provision either for a relative or next of kin, or there's somebody. There must be somebody
to monitor,
to help, so that you immediately inform that person and say, please, I received this client. We are not supposed to share confidentiality, but I only want to inform you one element. This client is vulnerable. He's susceptible to committing suicide. He's contemplating. Although we have given the therapy, but we don't know what will happen after. It can be a relapse, a relapsive thought, and in the night. So the purpose of breaking confidentiality for suicide contemplators is to prevent. In fact, there must be what we call suicide prevention plan. So in the suicide prevention plan, you inform this relative, remove all the wires, the cables,
anything to do with
the pharmaceuticals.
Would be catalyst for committing suicide.
Exactly. Remove it. And then keep monitoring and keep soothing, keep assuring. And then you also follow up and see. So that's the second area. The third area is when the judge issues an order that in this court we want this information. We want to know.
Give testimony.
We want to know what happened.
Give the condition of the particular person that is before court,
exactly.
or the
So
victim, or
the judge will definitely give you the parameters. You don't, even when you go to court, you don't fully.
The element of confidentiality is still respected.
Is still protected.
Somewhat.
Exactly, still protected. So you want to listen to the judge. What does he want to hear? Does he want to hear everything you discussed with this client? No. Of course, there are some areas that could be related
They'll
to
be
the
questioning
case.
you specifically on a specific matter.
Exactly. And when you want to disclose confidentiality, the information of the client to court, you also still seek permission. Say,
From the client.
exactly. Say, I have a court order here requiring me to be present in court and
Give testimony
talk about
against
this,
your disinformation.
this and that. Now, do you agree? Of course, he will say, no, I don't agree. But I say, remember, this we are bound by court to present. But still, your confidentiality will be protected to a certain limit. There is no way you will expose this client before court and all the nakedness. The other provision is when you're going to share with other professionals.
That's the fourth exception.
The fourth exception.
Okay.
Confidentiality. So for example, the client is mentioning about violence, spouse violence, and there is an element of law. You need to call the land friend for advice. Say, I have this case, it's like this. How do you go about it?
This lady is battered.
She
needs what
she needs help.
Where should she run?
Her point of view is divorce, but what do you think? Then you can, maybe it could be an illness that you need to talk to a physician, a doctor. Then you break that confidential to that doctor. Maybe it could be okay.
So to put it in context, you are saying it's not prudent for a counselor to take it all for themselves.
Yes.
Even where it is beyond their limits in their scope of profession counseling.
Of course, you don't have to go beyond your limit.
Don't prescribe medicine when you are not.
Never. It's not allowed. It's very unethical to prescribe. There is an element of counseling or psychosocial support where we have, there is what we call neurosis and psychosis. Those are conditions amongst the highly distressed or depressed
disturbed with the brain.
Clients, yes, and they have that element of chemical. I mean, the brain chemistry being distorted,
The
and
neurology
they have lost reality. They are losing reality of life. They are not connecting very well. So in that area, there are some, of course, there's some tools you use to assess. Then you refer for psychiatric help. There's no way you be the one to prescribe the antipsychotics.
Because it's not your field.
It's not.
So professionally, do what you are meant to do, and then leave the rest for the others. And
Exactly.
I mean, just pass it on to whomever's got to handle from there.
So that is the other area. So any professional counselor, any person who is supposed to be giving this kind of support to clients is supposed to respect all these parameters. Otherwise, it's the first line of therapy. The reasons they are there is the first line of support, healing, and recovery from any.
For our viewers, let's not forget, you are still giving us a typical day.
Yes, a typical day. So I had brought in the informed consent.
Yeah.
So after the informed consent, you enter into the therapeutic session, which we call the counseling session, one-on-one or one-on-two, depending on the situation. Exactly. So the next thing you do is what we call assessment, a psychosocial assessment. A psychosocial assessment has different elements. One, listening, active listening. Story taking, which they call story taking, helping this client to pour out. All the professional counselors know that you have to help this person pour out, to start talking, to start venting, to speak all the useless and the useful information.
I had a client that came to me, and this lady had a problem of a husband, former husband, ex-husband, who had taken away her house, because this is a house that was erected using her money through the husband. So over some time, the husband brings another wife, another woman in this house, and then the house is taken. You know what I mean? So for 20 years, the lady is kicked out of the house. She has raised her children out of her own house that she built with her money. So whenever I could interface with her to get the story extracted from her, the way it is, for me to have it on paper so I can work on it. The moment she starts,
she pours. She breaks down.
After a full year, that's when she could now speak broadly without pouring.
Yeah, you have mentioned something very important. So in the active listening, as you listen to the stories, you have already started therapy. Just listening, and this person pours out like that. Your client who was victimized and pushed out of the house by force by her husband. Of course, she was very traumatized, very hurt, highly depressed. So that means in this stage or level of storytelling, you listen. Then you also apply some tools to assess certain things. Like, for example, it's violence. Of course, it is associated with the trauma, depression. You assess all those levels. That's now a typical day. Of course, a typical session now. It has
got to be with these events of
the
crying,
counseling, of course, and crying is.
It, or sometimes they even faint because of the trauma.
Exactly, but uprooting pain of that magnitude, you can imagine. Just imagine a young girl who has been subjected to prolonged rape.
Gang rape or prolonged rape.
The frequency of rape has happened for over years, but under a lot of intimidation. But now this person has gotten a chance to break out,
To speak to someone and tell them what is happening with their lives.
So the therapy, the session has started, and our session is a professional session aimed at healing the inner world of this client. So the crying is okay, very therapeutic. In fact, if you're a professional counselor and you speak, rather you conduct your session, and the client does not cry, and yet there are incidents of trauma, the incidents of post-traumatic stress, the incidents of anxiety, depression, and this client does not cry, you have not done it very well. You've not helped that client very well. He has to cry.
This is an element in a session, if I may say.
Yes, it is an element of the session. It's part of this, the flow, the how the session is flowing. So eventually, you continue. Now, after listening, after getting it all, remember the first session is not exhaustive of the whole.
Definitely.
Now,
this is an introductory
exactly
bit of the two of you.
Yeah, sometimes we apportion hours. It may not exceed 2 hours, 1.5 hours.
Because you have other people that are also
exactly others on waiting. They are at the reception or at the bench or call away. So after getting
do you have
it
a client
all,
that can take a day?
No.
Maybe abruptly.
You have to
say somebody comes into office. They are on appointment, well and good. They have to be there by 8. By 8 they are there, well and good. But when it comes to expounding the matter to break down for you, then the series of extracting information from them, you realize that a day is taken.
Yeah,
with
of course there is a tendency for some clients to do that, but you have to use your expertise. You have to use your expertise to help them break down and
in the shortest time possible.
Put the situations into perspective.
Okay.
It is you, the therapist. You have to use your
to
skills.
make them understand from various contexts. And
exactly. So that now, in the first session still, as you proceed, you realize you do what we call leverage of issues. So in the first session, you may have realized this client is battling with trauma, is battling depression, is having maybe severe depression or minor depression or moderately severe. It depends on the scales. Now, you help this client to understand that despite the situation of abuse, trauma, infliction, abuse of law, victimization, the whole situation has brought these circumstances which we have to deal with. So, and the client now is able to put the situation in perspective and say, this problem has brought me this. I need to deal with this. There is this.
At which level do you realize that now this is becoming suicidal? I don't mean at which session, but in the explanation, if I may say.
In the first session, the counselor, the professional counselor.
This is what I want.
It's supposed to
what informs you to tell that this person, for instance, an example of what they say or how they act and all that. What informs you to tell that now this is getting suicidal? One
of the tools that we use during the first session has this element. You realize if for example, if it is an elite, he will help you to feel certain tools. But if it's not an elite, you can ask verbally, have you ever thought about taking your life? Say, yes, very many times. And then you see somebody reacting, of course. Then you know.
You see it is inherent within them.
Exactly.
This is not far-fetched for them to
the signs and symptoms start to show up. In fact, I tried it. He will even tell you, I tried it twice, thrice. I reached the edge of doing it, and others will tell you, I have ever taken poison or have overdosed, and I was rescued, or it wasn't successful. So you, the therapist, you now understand that this one has ever had suicide, but it was not successful. This one is contemplating. This one is having a vulnerable situation. Now, in any case, part of the first aid or the first kind of therapy you give must provide the suicide prevention after you have realized. You don't just detect it and leave it.
You see, with the public, normally we judge, and at times it becomes a problem to others that are left behind. Sometimes we happen to say, I won't mention Johnny's death because of confidentiality of the family and all that. But then sometimes we happen to say, as a public, that we judge and say, we put levels in these life spheres, causes, if I may say, and then we say, when I extract and also look into this situation, I don't think it is warrantable for that person to be perceived that it had reached that stage of committing suicide. I mean, we judge them for telling them this is acceptable, this is not. You get the point, where we say, okay, he committed suicide, okay, for given what she had gone through, it is okay that she was left with that since she didn't get attention. But then, who are we to judge these people, and who are we to put yardsticks on when should one commit suicide?
Okay, just like I think in law you have where you say expertise, expert view.
Yes.
You call it like that?
Yeah, the expert view when it comes to giving evidence and all that.
Even in judgment.
Yeah, in judgment.
I have my friend.
When you are called to court as a counselor,
yes,
you are giving your evidence that is to be taken is called expert view or opinion.
Exact opinion. So we use that because we have tools to assess it.
Okay.
There's no way you conclude this one is. Anyway, the thing is, we in our trainings we know that any crisis, any situation, given the fact that the client's locus of control could be weak or strong or fair, we always know that the first thing or one of the aspects they think about is ending life, because they think that is the easiest way of dealing with the situation. In fact,
to escape from the problem.
Yes, research will tell you that the different age limits which are very vulnerable to committing suicide. They will tell you the gender statistics, which gender is likely to commit suicide. Okay. And of course you realize it could be a female, more to the men. And then the next group is the young people, especially the teens, from teenage age to youth. Those ones are very that's why you've had all these instances. You began with a story of somebody who jumped from
this week.
Yes, that was a young person. All these incidents that have happened, you realize they're for young people, because they quickly think of that. Their brain chemistry becomes stuck very easily. So as a counselor who is trained to help, to provide that healing, you must find the spot and say, hey, this one have to get a way forward, an intervention immediately.
In other words, we shouldn't take it to be a social construct for us to say that it should be this way for us to say it was okay for that person to commit suicide. I know it's not okay.
It's not okay.
At any time for suicide to be committed. But then there are situations where we say this person was indeed forced to commit suicide. Then we have situations where society has judged the person that committed suicide and said that was a minor issue. Why should you commit suicide? Because you are disowned by your family.
Yeah, it's just because
you are not the first anyway. I mean, people have been let down from jobs. You're not the first person. Why should you feel that way and even reach a point of committing suicide?
This is a very big mistake that community is trying to commit. And in fact, it is one of the biggest mistakes. The World Health Organization, one of our mother health organizations globally, states that you don't take any suicide, whether it is a message, whether it is a signal, whether it's a statement, don't take it lightly. That's what World Health Organization tells us. Don't take it lightly. As a therapist, don't take it lightly. So I'm also now putting it to the public. Anything associated with suicide, it's a real thought which has a sequence of which has patterns of thoughts, patterns of, sequences of feelings and then thoughts. So that's why if you see somebody having the following signs, please don't just take it for granted. That person may have an accomplished suicide because you either didn't detect that there are these symptoms or signs. One, people who don't speak and yet they are going through challenges, those ones are very vulnerable. What are they contemplating? There's a lot they are contemplating related to violence and ending life. Help that person to connect to somebody who can speak to them or whom they can speak with. Two, people who have what we call acute anger, those ones are also vulnerable to committing suicide. Like the parents, I always give this example. The parents, if you have your child who has, you normally call them tempers, who has these tempers high,
my son is short-tempered.
Short-tempered.
Hot-tempered and short-tempered.
Don't just take it for granted that he's just short-tempered. I will slap him, I will embarrass him, without minding about what will happen. Our friend Honorable Kionga lost a son some years ago. The son wrote a cheat and said, "Dad, you've not been giving me enough time." And now, when Chionga was grieving, he said, I wish I knew, I wish I had known that this boy needs more of my time. I wish, that kind of regret. Remembering the minor kind of...
You are lost in service of the country, you are lost in service of work and all that, of your company.
For you will think it is minor,
you think you just
yet
have to
it
give
is
them
big
money
for
and
some.
food.
So,
But then
it's
they need
important to
attention
listen
as a
to them.
parent.
It's important to listen to them. Okay. Coming back to
Yeah, you're giving us a typical day.
a typical day. So, after collecting all this, you take them through, you help this client to understand. My friend, yes, these are the things we have to deal with if we are to get out of this situation. Then say, yes, we have this, it requires law. We have this, it requires therapy. We have this, it requires medical, or it may require reconciliation, or reaching out, conflict mediation. So that
Sometimes
kind of
someone is just haunted with what he did to the other person, then it's the problem that is having.
So
Until
after
they-
all that, and you write all those issues on the file. These are issues to work with on this client. Now, you give another schedule, an appointment. Maybe you schedule, say, I'll have to see you 4 sessions or 3 sessions. Why? because we have to deal with all this stuff. And our next appointment is this date. So you do that as you are ending the session. So as you are about to end the session of just one client like this, you help them to reflect what they have learned, to reflect the lessons, and to pick important, what we call it, the take home. And then a good professional counselor will give homework.
Okay. To these clients.
Exactly.
Keep them busy. What's the essence
To
of giving
keep-
them homework?
For 3 or 4 reasons. One, you want them to discover more on their own, because
within themselves.
the purpose of therapy, the purpose of professional counseling is to enable this client start thinking
Okay.
about the situation
Beyond what they have
beyond what they have
they
been
had
seeing.
concentrated with.
Yes. Yeah. So, for example, if it is an estate issue, and the children of the deceased are conflicting, and maybe this person has never gotten a perspective that there is something even more to that. There is a bigger world beyond even that.
What they are fighting.
What they are fighting for. Maybe they have never even put it into
Context.
the context, what the arithmetic context of calculating how much costs, how much damage it can cause to them, and also what is the budget, what is the issue. If it is shared
Time.
to the beneficiaries, then someone is able to get all that. So you give such homeworks for this person to start a logical way of seeing the world,
Things differently.
seeing things differently.
From various angles and perspectives.
Exactly. You broaden someone, you help someone to think bigger.
Now you've given them homework.
Then the next thing is to make an appointment for the next session. And when you're giving appointment to the next session, remember that you have to determine whether it's going to be an outreach next session, or it's going to be a call-away session, or a follow-up session. Like most sensitive cases require immediate follow-up. The suicide likes and abuse.
To keep
trauma.
them in the loop to see that at least they are busy with communication and also hope.
Yes.
Because this well-being we are talking about is a question of giving them and also assuring them with hope
Exactly.
that the problem is going to have a solution to that effect.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then you give that kind of follow-up, that kind of next session appointment, and then you have to meet other clients. So in so doing, you realize that you're always very busy. You have some clients who need follow-up. You have some clients who are starters, and then you also have some clients who are about to end.
Their lives.
No, who are about to end their
Their
sessions.
sessions, rather.
You're about to terminate the sessions. So all these, you have to put a line up. If you realize that your day is taken up, but remember, at the end of the day, you have to do what we call self-care.
To yourself.
Exactly. Because you have taken
Sometimes
in,
you could be eaten up and swallowed by these other people's
no,
problems.
you have even listened to much more traumatic incidents, stories, that sometimes you can also become a little bit emotional,
A victim of what
being
you've been
touched.
listening.
Yes. And yet, you are not supposed to show
So
that.
how do you separate the two?
Which two?
Where you keep professional even when the stories are pulling you to become a part of them.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. You are supposed to be emotionally grown up. It's one of the training areas that we have in the universities, especially at master's level. There is no way your mentor will pass you out without doing those interviews to see that you have also emotionally healed.
Grown.
You have emotionally grown. You have grown up. You are now capable of handling situations, even when they are very threatening, So you must be strong. That's why we don't say sorry. You don't say sorry to the client. No. The moment you say sorry, you are breaking that client. You are blocking that client from thinking beyond. And yet you one of the roles you have is to empower this person, see the world in a more lighter way, in a more broader way. So we don't say sorry, you don't break the client, you keep encouraging, even when it has touched you. Sometimes when it is beyond, maybe it looks similar to the situation you have also ever gone through, and it reminds.
Because at the end of the day, you are counselors, but then you are humans.
Of course, it re-traumatizes you. Then you call your colleague and say, "Please come and help me. I have gone this far. This client is here. Can you give some trauma therapy here for this session? Maybe I'll be ready for next session."
Okay.
So that you do not subject your client to your inner world kind of feeling, because you will simply not have been a professional.
You want to give independent opinions.
Exactly.
Because
and yet you want to
you
promote independence. Yes.
Of these stories.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, we normally do self-care.
Okay.
And the self-care is aimed at offloading
What you've consumed. From
what you have
people.
consumed. Now, of course, you may not get a daily counselor to help you do that.
Okay.
And our daily...
Yeah, because I was coming to that to understand. How do you self-care to yourself?
Yes. Part of the self-care is with your spouse.
Okay.
Taking them through what you have gone through the day. Some of the problematic cases you have gotten. By the way, there are some cases that come to you and say, "Hey, am I the one handling this case?" A big person who comes, who has to leave escorts at the reception to come and meet you, or who has to tell you where to meet them.
I was coming to that, but you can just chip into that now.
One day, I remember that scenario. I'm not disclosing the confidentiality. I was handling a case of an ambassador, and I had always to meet him where he is, because he will not come to the office to say, "Please," and line up. No, he cannot go through those.
And also
things.
seeing them there and all that.
And also seeing the public seeing them.
Public judgment and all that.
Yes, maybe the social media can get them when they are lining up. So you have to respect all those things. Go to them. Sometimes you have to be very brave. If there are ammunitions around, maybe you can tell him, "I fear these ammunitions, but I have to help you out." And he has to help to tell you
The problem.
his word. I mean, all these circumstances you have to respect accordingly. Yes. One MP told me, no, you have to come to my office. I can't. When I come there, it will be a public thing. I don't know who will be there. They can screenshot me and say, "This one is mad now." In fact, people fear that stigma. Only coming to the counselor, they think...
And society has already created it already.
Yes, they said now that one is problematic, chaotic. No. Coming to the counselor is for your well-being, is for prevention purposes, because we have other classes of mental health disorders. But those classes, the severe mental disorders, they do not begin as severe. They begin as what? Minor. So you realize you have a situation. Maybe, let me give you an example. You grew up in a family that is full of violence, very abusive, very disorganized. And you have never gone to a therapist for healing. So all this world is still with you in your chest. Then you marry, you form your own family. you realize you are taking the baggage of your family of origin, and then your own family, and then the issues.
This is all with you.
All with you. And then you end up bursting or exploding into killing someone, or violence, or maybe which can be sparked off by just a minor thing. But you don't know that your life has been full of series of incidents that have caused you scars that you need to heal. So going to the counselor is not something that...
At which point should someone, sorry to interrupt you, should someone get to know that I think I should now go and see a counselor? At which level?
At any level where you ask yourself questions that your inner world cannot satisfy or answer. Why is this happening to me? What am I going through? Am I bewitched? Who is bewitching me? Those kind of questions.
God hate me.
God, why is God punishing me? Those kind of questions. Anything that has hit a snag, any situation in your life that really causes your cognitive, your mental health to start getting
Once your
stuck.
cognition gets compromised with such questions.
Exactly. Please don't wait. See the counselor, see the professional counselor immediately. Even one session like this can help you open up so many things, and you heal, and you find your well-being very tuned to the world. You are able to meet all the aspects of your life very well. Finance, you are able to meet the deadlines, the tax obligations, and so on. If it is marriage, everybody needs a point where you have to reflect. You don't just drive like this. You always reflect. What have you gone through? Where am I going?
You were telling us about the self-care.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are still at the Wellness Hour with Counselor Muhammad Ali Male. You were still telling us about the self-care that you should put yourself as a counselor has consumed a lot of issues regarding your clients that you've been faced with during the day. And you say that sometimes you have to do it with your fellow counselor that's got to counsel you out of against these stories that you happen to consume. And also, secondly, you say that you can do it with your wife if at all you were a gentleman, you were a man, and also you can do it with your husband. That I think presumably that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, but without going beyond the boundaries of confidentiality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I wanted to know, do we have cases of counselors losing it from work? They take it home after having gone a series of these
stories.
Sometimes your story is also triggered, your personal story that might look the similar as what the client is telling you is triggered. Then you fail to get a counselor to work on you, your fellow counselor. Then you have to take it home. You are going back with this problem that was triggered by a story that seemed similar with yours.
Exactly.
How do you handle that situation so that you keep and also safeguard the sanity of your family from getting affected with what you consumed?
Yeah, it's one of the mistakes that many professionals are facing. Be it a lawyer, be it a doctor, be it a businessman. You are supposed to wind up a day and do some self-care. So as a counselor, of course, there are some counselors who will say, I don't need it. But you find yourself
I'm a professional already, I'm an expert.
Indirectly.
You have that denial within you.
Exactly. You find you're shifting the cases indirectly onto your family life. And this kills your well-being. So what I can say is that every profession needs this self-care for good well-being. And this well-being is brought. Remember, you have mental health well-being, emotional
well-being,
social
well-being,
spiritual
well-being,
financial
well-being,
interpersonal, so many of them.
name it.
Tell me how you're going to balance all of them if you have not really gone to wind up, to debrief, I mean, to break down what you have packed inside. It will mean it's going to affect one of the areas of your well-being. And yet a person is supposed to really be healthy. He's supposed to look at all these domains and be healthy and be well. That's the definition of well-being. When you look at the World Health Organization definition, our DSM-5 guidelines, it defines well-being like that. So for any profession not to have self-care, it will definitely be a lie that you'll begin the next day fresh. What does this self-care entail? Self-care entails reflecting through your emotional world. How big has this scenario or the day caused
Emotional damage
to me? You reflect, how is my connection with my Allah, with my God? That because you have to accept that the spiritual well-being is important as well for your general well-being. Very fundamental.
Because it's the primary source of building hope.
Exactly. Then, are you sure that what you have gone through will not interfere with your spiritual domain? Maybe it may interfere with your prayers, interfere with your meditation, your charity, and so on. Giving charity. Look at the social life. You're born to, these days we have social media, whereby you're supposed to spend some minutes chatting with your social world. And then you take yourself very busy. You say, for me, I'm very busy. Then it means that well-being will be affected. And when you lose someone tomorrow, there's nobody to accompany you. There's nobody to give you that comfort. So the well-being is affected because you don't do self-care. When you look at the physical, you realize maybe you don't do some walking, you don't do some jogging and so on, then you're not fit. And so many other domains. So that's why any profession, irrespective of which docket, that
we all need that aspect of
not only for counselor.
At the end of the day, in our fields that we happen to do. Well, Mr. Mali, I want to know, and also for the viewers, we would like to know, what are the misconceptions that are associated with this field of counseling from the public, if I may say, and also the clients specifically, that maybe when I'm going to meet Mr. Ali, this is what I'm going to be faced with, the misconceptions that are carried along with this field when we are going to interface with it?
Yeah, you see, for us in the psychosocial support world or the professional counseling world, our therapy rotates around information. Now, as you dig for some information, you find this notion that that there are some things
family
which are exclusive,
highly confidential, and also exclusive,
very exclusive.
Private only family members that are associated with them.
Exactly. Now, let me give you an example. You find a gentleman who is giving you a scenario or a situation about his family, and he fails to mention that I have another child somewhere, and yet you the therapist, you want to know. Please tell me about your family
Yet
life.
the other child is also
Are there some other children
an effect in what you are
beyond the wedlocks? If it is a Muslim, beyond the 2 wedlocks or 3, you find that person very difficult for him to reveal that kind of information. And he said,
culture has now interfered.
Exactly.
With the
So
profession.
that notion normally is an obstacle. Then the other problem we have is Uganda in particular. We still have the issue of mandate. The
When you say mandate, what do you mean?
mandate means the legal permission, the legal
Framework.
the framework in which the profession operates. You realize that we are operating in the docket of some health acts. Like we have the Mental Health Act. It has some provisions where we are operating from. We operate from some provisions of the Constitution. Yes, we also operate from some provision of the Education Act, and then also the Ministry of Gender and Social Development Act, and so on. So they are simply still provision. We do not have a definite
An omnibus act to be
to put the whole thing.
specifically addressed to the counseling profession.
Yes.
The way it is.
Yeah, we still have that challenge because we are still in the process with Parliament. So that's one of the other challenges we
It
have.
becomes a misconception when
So when you want to define who is a professional counselor, then you also get a traditional healer who will also tell you that I'm a counselor. Then you also find another one is a shrine,
the religious leaders,
the cult, yes, the religious leader. They also
players.
exactly. So there's a need to streamline that area very well.
Because for us, maybe the public, if I may say, for anyone that could speak to my heart, and I get moved.
Yes, you think that one is a profession? No.
And we think whoever stands behind the microphone and says, have hope, tomorrow is guaranteed, Allah is there, this will happen to you, don't lose it. You know, we tend to call them counselors. So they also tend to call themselves counselors.
Yeah, those are some of the things we need to regulate. So, we have had, when I was the advocate of Uganda Counseling Association, I had several cases of religious leaders, some religious leaders who had committed crimes against humanity.
They are fellows.
They are fellows in the name of giving what? Counseling. For example, we know some religious leaders in court pastors who are taken before court because they are charging them sexual abuse. How do you call it?
Yes, sexual assault.
Sexual assault offenses, and then rape and so on. All those things
Associated with
exactly. But in the process of hearing that verdict, there is an element when I was being counseled in the room. So we still have all these challenges.
Somebody goes,
Some of the
confine into a religious player. They think they are a source of counseling. They are good. They are in a good position to be counselors since they're even talking to the Supreme, which is God. So at the end of the day, they are taken prey because of their innocence.
They are abused eventually. They are victimized because someone wants hope, and the person giving hope
Talks to God
eventually wants to take the advantage of this person and abuse, especially the young girls and women. So we still have unethical counselors, and I want to call upon all of them. If you know that you're not trained very well
They should refrain
to
giving counsel.
they should refrain, because this is a sensitive profession of giving psychological help. This thing called psychological help is too broad. You have to enter into these abilities of the mind, make them well, but you not make them well if you're not very trained.
Still on a misconception, also the misrepresentation that comes with this particular field from people that have taken advantage of it, who are not even players in it professionally. We have had issues of I don't want my wives, people's husbands, but these are people that have paraded as counselors.
Yes,
They
that is the
accusing.
problem.
Somebody comes crying because you have given in your hands to welcome them. At the end of the day, of taking advantage, instead of stabilizing the family, if at all it is a marriage issue, you become a replacement for this husband whom they have reported to you to have.
That thing has reminded, the question you have just asked has reminded me about something. That is what we call a superiority complex in people.
Yeah.
You find that there are some people who are very superior, even just maybe like one of their spouses going for therapy or counseling is a crime. I have had some few cases of that nature. Somebody asked, where did you get the permission to go and meet the counselor?
You have to seek consent. In other words, for him, he thinks you have to seek consent
from him,
from another individual.
that kind of superiority. And yet the source of abuse or the source of torture, the source of tormentation was from this person. Now is the same person saying, where did you get permission to meet this counselor? I didn't give you permission. Now we also have that challenge when someone needs help, when someone is,
In other words, he was questioning where she gets the mandate to go and seek for help.
without his permission, and yet he could be one of the trouble causers. When someone seeks for support, please don't refuse. Don't take it just in your hands that you are supposed to to consent it. No. Someone is dying. Maybe it is in your home. Someone is simply seeking for support, which is going to resolve issues in your home. Please be kind enough, be gentle enough.
Look in the camera and tell them.
Yes, be gentle enough and accept this kind of welcome. It could be the counselor gives you a call after receiving your husband or your wife,
Spouse.
yes, then calls you, please, I request to meet you. Please welcome. These are opportunities for you to understand the world maybe that has been a shadow.
Sometimes it comes in a scenario where if I have a problem in my marriage and I am the source of the problem, if I may say, sometimes I've created it and I don't want it to leave. You understand the scenario?
Yes, yes.
Where I don't want my problem
Because it
go
is your
away.
source of protection.
You get my point?
Yes.
If I have issues with my wife, I want the state to be the way it is. Nothing like a counselor to do away with my state. Let it be like that. If I don't care if I told my wife, and if my wife is faced with this problem and she has to seek rather for support from the counselor, I want the problem to be the way it is. Then here you come, you give me a call, the counselor, and you want to deal with my problem,
And
which I'm attached to.
And then you unleash the mayhem.
Of course, because for me, I want
To
my
her.
problem.
It's a very big mistake. It's a very big mistake because
You planned, remember you planned, you'll be coming here for session 2, session 3, you have already planned. Then
Because-
she goes back home, you give a call to the husband
Because-
you have identified it to be a solution in your process of
Yes.
working on the
in your approaches.
But then at the end of the day, you have caused another bigger problem for this lady. If at all she was subject to 100 belts in a night, Now it's going to be plus some good
It
kicks.
can even be a panga after that. Anyway, the thing is, sometimes some things have to be not.
And I'm sure you've faced this, where your clients
of
no longer
course.
come back because.
Yes, it has. It has ever happened. I was telling the public that some things, to get resolved, they have to be the worst. You have to offend some people in the name of protecting what they are perpetuating.
Okay.
Yes, you may need to offend, but in the due process, someone will appreciate and say, this was worth it. Yes, it is not. It is okay not to be okay, but what is important is to come out of it, come out of that situation, because normally shadow that you need another eye to see. And there's this thing, which is also another challenge, by the way. I know that many religions, the deen of Islam, when you go to Catholics and so on, all of them will tell you, please, do not add any partner to the kingdom of one Lord. In Islam, we know it in our Shahada, we know it in our Tawheed, it's an abomination. But now, how comes?
The counselor is now doing the job of God to heal.
No, but even beyond that, before that, how comes people have not respected that rule or that obligation of Allah, of God? It's just because they are not open-minded. They don't want to. They want to go and unleash or open up things spiritually. And yet there could be a logical way of seeing the world by visiting a therapist.
Because God is not going to talk to you
Directly.
He's not.
So that is the.
He's just going to create situations for
That's
you
the opportunity.
to contemplate.
Those are the opportunities that the Schlein minders use to take people into
They take advantage.
that kind of offense beyond before Allah. Why? Because even the minor primary situations that would have been logically solved, you don't want to open up to another way of thinking, which the counselor would have helped you in. You want to be there. There is this thing called self-awareness. Many people are not aware of themselves. When you ask someone, do you know yourself? Someone tells me, yes, I know myself. I'm so and so.
I'm an outgoer.
I'm aged. I am 50 years.
Every Friday I'm doing
married,
my parties.
and that's how he's defining himself. But self-awareness, do you know how you resolve anger? Do you know what happens to you when you get annoyed? Those things. You need someone to help you in discovering these things. Because you can tell me that according to the way you talk, you seem to be a simple man, or you seem to be a complicated person. How do you then help your spouse, your family? So, this kind of thing.
Okay. I want to know, when it comes to the issue of the cases you're talking about that you receive on a daily as a counselor, what is the rate? I don't want to be having a ratio kind of argument, but what is the rate of men reporting to you as domestic violence victims? Because I have it here that 90% of homicide victims,
Yes,
homicide disproportionately impact men, who make up 9 out of 10, every 10 victims of domestic violence. This is a global research that is unleashed.
definitely, yes. when we use our simple psychometric or metric to measure that, we can say it is really a big problem. Why? A few men will come and tell you, I have a problem. They will get that few have that resilience to come and say.
They don't have it in them to talk to a fellow man that he's got a problem of.
They will see it as stigma. They'll be stigmatized immediately. Say, how can that happen? You're a man. You're supposed to be superior. Why don't you box her back? Like something like that. So, in the name of protecting that stigma,
masculinity,
yes, they become so much victimized. So for us, in our work,
but do you believe the weight, the figures I've given you, 9 out of 10 victims of homicide and also domestic violence?
Yes, it could be true. Why? Because from our psychosocial assessment, I told you in one of the package, one of the part of my schedule is to do assessment. So if it's a family issue, you do assessment. Now you realize on doing assessment, you realize that this woman who is complaining about the victimization being
afflicted on her,
battered, what is the pattern? On tracing the pattern, you realize she's the one who provokes the man. One, these are the different areas they batter them in. One, they are deprived sexually.
Okay.
Those rights, conjugal rights, they are always denied to men, and it's one way of torturing them. And you know that when a man is really denied that right, it can make the man really lose
himself. He can be. He's like a mad dog at rampage.
How comes I married this woman and she's in my house, and then this one is happening? It can be real. It's one of the big tortures. It may not be just physical, but that's one of
them. Like a psychological problem.
Yeah, property deprivation. Saying, this home is mine. If you want yours, you go and make yours. And yet, the lady knows. It could be maybe, okay, it could be a joint effort, but much of the effort was for the man, or even some contribution. That kind of torture. And then the beating itself. Emotionally, they beat them with words. Those words.
Even have cases of physical beating.
Even physical
where
beating,
a man
yes,
that reports at around midnight, there is his cane in the corner of the house.
Even locked out of the gate.
Yeah, when you are even accepted to enter the house, then that's when you have to face your cane that is in the corner.
I know of one profession who told me that when it is beyond 11, he has to bring witnesses along with him.
His alibi to tell where he's been.
To explain to Madame where you should have been in the meeting. I had this meeting to delayed me. Yeah. So that that is
that's
torture.
The world we are faced with.
That all that is torture, and it disturbs the men, and they are dying silently.
Okay,
that is very true. However, the probability still remains that it is the men, it's the women who are more battered than the men. But for us who do psychosocial, who are in the social world of humanity,
that are faced with the problem directly.
Yes, you realize even more men are being battered as well.
And I want to know, well, thank you very much about that information. We want to know what are the what is the level to which we should appreciate mental awareness as a society, and what is the level at which society or social awareness that has played to do with this particular vice?
Okay.
Mental health awareness.
Yeah. Mental health is as vital as having life. One scholar said that if you want to understand the gravity of mental health or well-being, equate it to living.
Okay.
Because without good mental health, you can't live. That's why the society will call you a mad person or a Butabika case. Why? Because they have seen some things which are beyond maybe your control. So in other words, the public is, I encourage the public to always take this information, the mental health information, the well-being, anything that promotes their well-being, to be very vital. Equate it to your life. Without it, then you don't have proper life.
You are losing it.
Without this awareness, you need to know about this. First of all, your personal awareness, the self-awareness will help you. You need to know about it. It's very important for you to know about it. If you don't know about it, you're bound to make mistakes, and then you have this kind of pattern in your life that you're not advised. You are the superior, you are king. That kind of life. You need to be humble, calm, and always wanting to understand with an open mind. When you do this, you prolong your well-being. You prolong your life as well as your well-being. And when we're talking about well-being, it's in very many dimensions: emotional, mental, social, psychological, physical, spiritual, financial, etc. There is no way you'll be a good citizen who is ready to pay tax, who is going to, you'll not be a good person if you are not aware of your well-being.
Definitely.
Your well-being is your life. That is the equation that one scholar gave of the meaning of well-being.
It must be affecting directly to the whole
your life. And then the World Health Organization says well-being is cutting across. It cuts across emotional, physical, psychological, etc. You cannot be good at making money and then your home is starving, psychologically, emotionally, and mentally. Then you'll not be successful.
Councillor Ali, I have a story, and I extract it from my line of work.
Yes.
I happen to face a scenario where a man gathers his children. He tells them, they were very young, around 4, and then the toddler was I think 2 or 3, because they could understand what was taking place. So he tells them, showing them this big knife, that mommy bought this knife to kill us. That's why I'm separating with her, so that she doesn't kill you. The background of the story says that they had already separated.
But he was justifying it.
So he was justifying the reason why they should separate
to the children.
So he tells them why they shouldn't entertain mommy again. In fact, mommy died. Mommy died, but she was attempting to do what? To kill us. So
And then he left those children confused.
yeah. So they go by that. Mommy wanted to kill us, and mommy is nowhere to be seen. Mommy died.
You see?
So they go to school. While at school, after some good time, these kids have now grown up at an age that is, if I may say, coming to the teenage age. They were around 8, rather 10, coming to teens. Then also the other was coming to 10, to around there. So this lady, after some good time, because she hadn't died, she had to look for the children. So she traces where they are studying. The school is in Mukono. So she finds herself there. She says, let me go and visit my children, since I've been denied the chance to see my children for all this long. So she goes and pays a visit to the children at school. Because the father didn't disclose to the school that this mother died, their mother died, and didn't disclose a lot of issues. So they welcomed her. This is a lady, she's claiming she has come to see her what? Her children. So they invite these kids at the office to come and see their mom. So the kids
They
have not raised the husband.
are still remembering that their mother was dead.
Exactly. So they are just called to come to office, maybe to give them a surprise of who has visited them. So they come to office only to get shocked and run around the school while shouting that they have seen a what?
A ghost.
A ghost. So in the course of shouting that they have seen a ghost, the entire school
It's
caused havoc.
Yeah.
All the students, the pupils at the school, they had
Rampage came.
Exactly. Until they had to run after these kids. They get them, they sit them down, they convince them, they call the father comes. They are getting information from the kids that the dad told them their mother what? Died, and she wanted to do what?
To kill them.
To kill them. This is the kind of hatred he had planted in what?
The children.
In the children, that's the information. So at the end of the day, these teachers, they are faced with this kind of story. They are traumatized with the reaction of the children on seeing their mom.
Now it has become a school issue.
Exactly.
From home,
Exactly.
family issue,
So
school issue.
What I want you to help us
Yes.
as we come to the last bit of our engagement today. What's your recommendation of handling situations of sort for the workplace people? And is it prudent for us to prepare minds of our employees in the work area, and also for the married people or divorced people? How should they handle these situations for them not to pass their problems, to the children, to become victimized, even when, as they are growing, they are victimized already. Their mom wanted to kill them. This is the information they got from the father. Secondly, the ghost surfaces, because the mom now is coming back. They are now double what? Traumatized because of this new scenario. They have to accept that mom didn't die. These are young people. 10, 8. These are very young people. They are seeing a ghost for the first time. This story I'm telling you about was just here in state.
Yeah, it has also reminded me another story of and it's still school children who described their parent as a home guest.
Okay.
Instead of saying this is our dad,
Mm-hmm.
they said, this is a guest, a night guest to our home.
Subhanallah.
Meaning they don't see their dad. He only comes in the
They
night.
know there is a guest.
They leave when the children are sleeping.
Mhm.
He comes back when they're. So there is a guest. who
At some
comes.
time in the night he comes and then visits them.
Yeah, he can even shout at them like this, but
They don't have
but
that fatherly bit of
they don't get this bond
to feel that this is their
supposed
father.
to be how it's supposed to be. Coming to this, it's really a very big mistake for many families, for many marriages that are maybe on the verge of collapse, maybe verge of separation. Maybe they are battling a divorce case in court. Maybe they are conflicting over land, properties. Maybe there's a situation that has come up. Children are very sensitive to what happens around them. They are very sensitive, be it spoken or not spoken. So even if it had not reached that level of bringing out a sword and then putting it before them that this is your mother's knife, it was aiming at killing you, then they get confused. So in our world of therapy, we call that triangulation. It is very wrong to triangulate children into your own conflicts. Why? Because one, they will become confused. You have confused them. Remember, it is still a developing brain. It hasn't reached that level of maturity. So they will take things as they are. And then as they grow up, they get that embarrassment, the trauma, the lie which you gave them.
True.
And then as they grow even more or much more mature, I mean, as they mature to this understanding age, they realize that he was a liar.
Definitely.
So how are you going to deal with that? In other words, in any family situation or conflict, please, parents, have what we call long-term thinking. Do not just use this as a deceptive tool to escape
The reality bit
the
of
reality
life.
bit of it. Children will grow up and will get the reality.
True.
How will you deal with the reality when they have grown up? Will you still lie to them? No. They will become logical. They will assess this thing and realize who was all wrong. So it is a big mistake to triangulate to children into conflicts, tell them lies, or use them in your wars. Don't use the children in your conflicts. Why? You will confuse them. They will grow up hating you or hating one of you. Whether you are the perpetrator or you are the victim.
For so long as you are the breed of the lie.
Exactly. It's important to tell them what we call on neutral grounds. There are times when you need to tell them. Use neutral words,
Mechanisms.
statements to tell them. You can even use general statements without
Pointing fingers.
exactly. Children, dear children, we have been in marriage for these years, and God gave us a blessing of you. Now, time has come when this marriage is going to end. Not because I want it. I don't want to say that your mother was wrong or I'm wrong, but situations have really become too
It's inevitable
difficult.
for us to not to say.
Leave them to that kind of thing. Then they will be able to discover on their own. But lying them, telling them a lie,
Making them to make up their minds of
permanent-
taking sides.
exactly. You create trauma unnecessarily. You create post-traumatic stress unnecessarily.
Remember, whenever there is a divorce or separation, whomever remains with the children, they're going to say, if it is a wife or a woman, is going to put it to the husband, tata mwe mubi, tata mwe ankola what. And if it's the man, he's going to say, we separated because your mother was ABCD and I couldn't make it go along with her. That's why we had to leave her, and we are now having our good life. What's that?
You need to tell them
what causes that, and how should we go about that as parents?
I think it is not being able to understand the long-term repercussions of that kind of thing. But if you analyze, and if you know that you live with these children forever, you better tell them.
Because you're going to remain their father, and she's going to remain their mother. You like it or not?
So even if you know that it is the mother who is in the wrong, maybe there is some issue of adultery on the side of the mother. Maybe there's some issue of adultery on the side of the father. Something like that, because it is one of the bases for divorce.
True.
You need to be mindful of what will happen if you unleash this fact to the children.
Sometimes their minds are very young to
understand,
accommodate these big words.
Abstractively break down this kind of thing, information, or to digest. They will simply become confused, and they grow up with that confusion, which affects their learning at school, which will affect their, because there's what we call a generational curse. You can simply implant a generational curse. How does it happen? You've heard about girls who have reached the age of marriage, but they hate men. And also men who have reached the age of marriage,
They hate women.
they hate women. Why? Because the mother
They have a
abused.
history
They have a
about
history.
women.
So you create that kind of pattern in your family because you've not handled the conflict
Very well.
very well.
Or maturely, if I may say.
Maturely, yeah. You just keep on. And lastly, please don't label your partner before the children.
Mama mwe mulogo.
Mama wamwe musiru.
Mama mwe mutemu.
Nebukojja yoba nejjusa n'okwejjusa why I married in this family. Oh my God.
Tata wo musiru. Tata mu musiru.
Speaking such words to the children, you are creating a big problem, a big permanent problem, because they will think, I think we are also mistakes. In this
We are born by this murderer.
they keep contemplating this. But why did daddy say like that? Or why did mom say like that? You find when a mother is annoyed of the father, then she tells the child, "Nejjusa lwaki nakuzaala nandi kujjeemu." Oh my God. You have caused permanent damage and trauma to that boy. And that boy will hate you at one point. Even if you try to be good when this boy has grown up, they will still remember and still ask questions. Is this true or not? Wrong, but situations have really become too
It is inevitable
difficult.
for us to not to say.
Leave them to that kind of thing. Then they will be able to discover on their own. But lying them, telling them a lie,
Making them to make up their minds of taking sides.
exactly. You create trauma unnecessarily. You create post-traumatic stress unnecessarily.
Remember, whenever there is a divorce or separation, whomever remains with the children, they're going to say, if it is a wife or a woman, is going to put it to the husband, tata mwe mubi, tata mwe ankola what. And if it's the man, he's going to say, we separated because your mother was ABCD and I couldn't make it go along with her. That's why we had to leave her, and we are now having our good life. What's that?
You need to tell
What
them
causes that, and how should we go about that as parents?
I think it is not being able to understand the long-term repercussions of that child, that kind of thing. But if you analyze, and if you know that you live with these children forever, you better tell them.
Because you're going to remain their father, and she's going to remain their mother. You like it or not?
So even if you know that it is the mother who is in the wrong, maybe there is some issue of adultery on the side of the mother. Maybe there is some issue of adultery on the side of the father. Something like that, because it is one of the bases for divorce.
True.
You need to be mindful of what will happen if you unleash this fact to the children.
Sometimes their minds are very young to
understand,
accommodate these big words.
Abstractively break through, break down this kind of thing, information, or to digest. They will simply become confused, and they grow up with that confusion, which affects their learning at school, which will affect their, because there is what we call a generational curse. You can simply implant a generational curse. How does it happen? You've heard about girls who have reached the age of marriage, but they hate men. And also men who have reached the age of marriage,
They hate women.
they hate women. Why? Because the mother,
They have a
abused.
history
They have a
about
history.
women.
So you create that kind of pattern in your family because you've not handled the conflict
Very well.
very well.
Or maturely, if I may say.
Maturely, yeah. You just keep on. And lastly, please don't label your partner before the children.
Mama mwe mulogo.
Mama wamwe musiru.
Mama mwe mutemu.
Yoba nejjusa n'okwejjusa why I married in this family. Oh my God.
Tata wo musiru. Tata mu musiru.
Speaking such words to the children, you are creating a big problem, a big permanent problem. Because they will think, I think we are also mistakes. In this
We are born by this murderer.
They keep contemplating this. But why did daddy say like that? Or why did mom say like that? You find when a mother is annoyed of the father, then she tells the child, oh my God, you have caused permanent damage and trauma to that boy. And that boy will hate you at one point. Even if you try to be good when this boy has grown up, they will still remember and still ask questions. Is this true or not?
Well, thank you very much to tackle that particular aspect of what's happening in our domestic spheres. To the youth,
yes,
we have issues to do with academic progress. We have had a school that expelled around 114 students just because they failed to make to the points they expected them to make as their students. So they had to expel them until the government has now come up to act on the school. But then we know what it means for a child, first of all, that has been expelled from that school. Wherever he's going to go with it that he or she was expelled
from a certain
school for failure to perform. So she's going to have to first work on that issue while being received from whichever school is going to join. And also secondly, to the parents, with the economy we are seeing today, she has just paid, let me say, 4 million for this particular student that you're expelling. You are causing issues to that particular parent. Secondly, we have issues to do with still in the young people. This young girl, she has joined the marriage. After some good years, marriage was refused. Maybe the problem is coming from the man himself that was given to this particular boy, rather girl. Then society has refused to give her a room to get another man, if I may say, for lack of a better word. Sometimes she's presumed to be married. You get my point? So she has failed to get married again. At the end of the day, she's faced with that denial of saying, society has denied me to be received as a single person, to be also enrolled into the list of those that should be getting married in the near future or at a special moment. Others that are also married or even in a relationship, they are faced with issues of lack of attention from their partners or spouses. At the end of the day, they are depressed in that particular item of lack of attention from their people. If they are not strong enough, they are resorting to drugs, alcohol, and all that. Others, they have failed to get jobs. When they happen to open up businesses, they have failed. You know what I mean? They are in a circle of people that are all employed, apart from that particular one person. You know the depression that comes along being in a circle of people that are making it, but then for you are failing at whatever you are doing. These are the issues that we are having, some of the issues that we are having within our societies. You know the social media today with cyberbullying. So and so you weigh 20 kgs because somebody is small by nature of they're okay health-wise. They are not sick or what, but they are not fat, if I may say, or even big if that is it. And then somebody starts cyberbullying them, body shaming them. At the end of the day, we have had people that have committed suicide out of cyberbullying. You get the point? So, what's your take on the young people that are faced with these problems? What should they do? Because for the causes, I've given you the causes.
There are very many.
Yes. I want to know, what's your take on that, and what should be the way about, the go about?
Thank you very much. This is a very good guiding kind of question. One scholar said that in health outside begins from inside. So there's this situation you've mentioned about expulsion students because they were not able to make the points the school wants.
Desired points by the school.
Now, there are many transitions that the education systems are getting through. If I can use the case study of Uganda, we have a new curriculum that is trying to. By the way, if you ask yourself, how did this new curriculum come? It came after intensive research, after realizing that students were graduating, but they were short-lived. By nature of
they're okay health-wise. They are not sick or what, but they are not fat, if I may say, or even big if that is it. And then somebody starts cyberbullying them, body shaming them. At the end of the day, we have had people that have committed suicide out of cyberbullying. You get the point? So, what's your take on the young people that are faced with these problems? What should they do? Because for the causes, I've given you the causes.
There are very many.
Yes. I want to know, what's your take on that, and what should be the way about, the go about?
Thank you very much. This is a very good guiding kind of question. One scholar said that in health outside begins from inside. So there's this situation you've mentioned about expulsion students because they were not able to make the points the school wants.
Desired points by the school.
Now, there are many transitions that the education systems are getting through. If I can use the case study of Uganda, we have a new curriculum that is trying to. to, by the way, if you ask yourself, how did this new curriculum come? It came after intensive research, after realizing that students were graduating, but they were short-lived at their employment opportunities. All they were chased away because they were not creative, because
they couldn't meet standards of the workforce.
Exactly. So they realized somebody has A+ degree, the first class degree, but how comes he's not creative at work? That kind
because the essence of better grades should be creativity and also innovation.
And the whole cause was the education system. So they brought in 2 new curriculum, and part of the curriculum is intended to help students achieve the following things. One, to achieve what we call generic skills. You know, generic skills. Generic skills include being proactive, being able to interpret information abstractively, being able to be creative, being able to be innovative, and being inventing things, so that if you do not, you don't get an opportunity of being employed, you can do something.
In other words, the curriculum is tailored to meet abilities of awakening your genes to perform an extraordinary way of thinking.
So many schools are still they have hit a snag in understanding the difference between the old curriculum and then the new curriculum.
Should we say there was a very big gap, and it is still in place?
Yes, there is.
For the ministry to make sure it first of all enrolls the teachers, empowers them, if it needs undergoing through a process of them learning, because we are talking about a curriculum that these teachers were not, that is privy to these teachers, for them to be able or be in position to teach also the young generation. You get my point? We are talking about teachers that were not a part of the curriculum we are talking about.
There's also that gap. You'll find many teachers not understanding exactly
what they are teaching,
what they are supposed to do
in the new, for lack of a better word,
in the new curriculum. They are still with the old way of teaching to pass exams, and yet the new curriculum is beyond that. So when this scenario happened with one of the schools in Mukono, I've had the ministers withheld their UNEB center.
Yeah, they recalled it.
They recorded it, and therefore they have to be answerable to why they chased away over 100 students.
114.
Because of the performance. And yet the new curriculum does not support that.
But say, for me, my argument would be... So
there is that confusion
for me, my argument would be, I paid you money to give me a service of educating me. If I'm failing, make sure you continue educating me until a point where I could what? I can
be
pass.
Successful. Yes.
Why should you take my money at the end of the day, then you do away with me?
You reject me
after you have taken my money, because you are giving... Education is a service.
It's a service, That's good.
So for a service to be made, in other words, if I pay you money, I'm expecting to get the service fully, but not me failing at it, and then at the end of the day, because of the fact that I've failed to pass these exams, if I may say, you have not satisfied me with the service that I paid for. The service is to put me in a position where I can pass these examinations.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges
that's my argument.
The government needs to streamline in between understanding the new
the curriculum
and the old curriculum.
Yes, by the teachers themselves,
by the teachers and the schools. There's then the other area is the new curriculum says if the child is weak, is a weak learner, the school is supposed to use all mechanisms, including psychosocial support and counseling, to help this child
Cope up with
cope up and also get to the other level
Definitely.
of high achievers. Our company supports one of the schools.
Okay.
I don't want to disclose the name, but it supports one of the schools. And one parent was asking what was the position of the child at the end of the term. And I think it was 120 out of 130. Then the next question was my boy promoted? Yes. How? When he has no
These grades.
the new the new curriculum says, please help this child to improve. Find all ways to help this
To
child
make sure
to
they
improve.
are in position to also
Yes.
be
I
part
think
of
it is the reason why this school became a fair play to the government kind of order arrangement.
Okay, so going to the other.
And then the other thing also which has to be noted, in the new curriculum, they realized that a child who does not make it in the academic gradings, there are many things that must be contributing to that.
Okay.
Can you devise means to look at all those parameters and rectify them? And then another thing about, because you mentioned about the children who remain as stigmatized in the public. Way back, you were chased in this school, now you have come to do what in this school? That kind of stigma. You don't need to be stigmatized. You need to know that the other one was an academic, was an academic exam. An exam means they are assessing your abilities. A human being has so many abilities. Some of these abilities remain unused.
Because we have not put them to test.
Up to the graveyard. Because nobody has helped you to realize
These abilities
or
within
test them. So the academic examination is not, I can say that it should not be
So not
the
a yardstick
wholesome
for you
definition
to say my
for
life
your-
has been
for-
examined.
I have failed.
It's not an examination for the entire life of
no.
for the rest of your life, but
You-
it is
you need-
specific
you-
to the
Yeah, you need to
education
discover
bit of it.
your other abilities.
Okay.
When you go to these other international schools, for example, they will tell you that we have discovered this boy is a bowler, he's good at football.
And they'll concentrate on making sure they improve your soccer skills.
Your soccer skills, so that you become the next star after the Ronaldos and others.
There's no other star. The star is Ronaldo. No, don't mention that. Okay.
Yes, the Muhammad Salahs and so on.
If I may say.
So in other words, there are so many ways to discover your abilities.
Okay.
Try to find another person to talk to you. He can help you discover that, but the way you're doing your things, you try engineering.
Just like they discovered you in counseling.
Yes.
What you told us.
Yes,
in the
that
beginning.
I can never forget Brother Gaz. He was not a Muslim, but he looked at me, he lectured me and said, you can do better.
And he found you ready with an open mind to take in what he
Exactly.
told you. Well, take us through what I mentioned about to do with the young girls, young men that are faced with society denying them to accept society, a failure to be accepted by society.
Yeah, one of the things.
Way they are.
Yeah, one of the things you need to do if you are being rejected like that, you reflect.
Sometimes they feel they are a problem to the society themselves.
It's
they
an
put it in
opportunity to
themselves,
reflect.
that maybe I'm a problem to these people.
No, it's an opportunity to reflect. Maybe the society has misunderstood you. Can you reflect? Can you discover yourself and find out who you are in the real sense? because who you are will help you to discover so many things, so many abilities that are sleeping.
Okay.
So discover who you are. And then the one scholar said that if you have not been rejected, then you have not done your best.
True.
You've not done your best, because you in the real world you are bound to face more no's than more yeses. You'll face so many no's.
Because for you to be challenged in life, you must be rejected in the first place, so that you can be in a position of challenging that status quo.
The mind. You reflect and challenge the mind and say, no, this one rejected me because I am not good at this, but I am good at this. However, discipline-wise, it can also be another opportunity for you to reflect, because for a school to say you're being expelled, it could have discovered also some other aspects. Maybe the school hasn't been given opportunity to lay their defense and so on. But they could have discovered some other habits that these students need to deal
I want
with.
you to do an example of these young girls that I have been in marriage, I am now divorced, I want to go into a new marriage, but then many have rejected me. Not per se that I have gone to them to seek for marriage, but they're not coming to me to seek marriage again. I'm not shortlisted for those for the singles, if I may say.
I want to look in the camera and talk to the girls, the females, the ladies who are having that kind of situation.
Better.
Number one, I don't want you to label yourself. Don't put it on yourself. Don't put it on your chest that I have been rejected or what. No. It's simply, a rejection simply means you have to make more
efforts,
opportunities.
Okay.
If one door has closed, you can create another one. And how do you create another opportunity? The best person to work or to change is you. The best person to change is you, not another person. Look at yourself. Maybe you're the one blocking those opportunities. How much work have you done to get another opportunity of another spouse? Don't be stuck.
But sometimes you find themselves, for example, when you're talking about them working on themselves, before you conclude with telling them directly in the camera. These are ladies. She has dressed to kill, if I may say. She's looking wow, but then nobody's talking about telling her a hi.
And it could really be torturing. But there could be something you need to reflect on. That have you done? Ask yourself some questions. Have you done your best to make sure that you are the most appropriate candidate?
Because I'm going to ask you, what should we do then? Because if it needs dressing very well, I've dressed. If it is a Muslim, I've dressed my hijab. You get my point? I'm praying from the masjid where these shajis are, But then nobody's talking about telling me a hi.
And you may pray from the masjid, but still you get a wrong button, if I may say. The only tool that the scholars, psychologists have given as a proven tool that will name the biggest shot. The favorite shot is emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Emotional intelligence. Check yourself.
Okay.
Emotional intelligence. Someone will attract opportunities because she's a calm person, may not be even highly educated, but emotionally,
the way she carries
she's
herself.
so intelligent emotionally. She's calm. She knows how to deal with situations so they don't run out of hand. She knows how to direct situations to the right path, to the right direction.
Okay.
I mean, that kind of intelligence is needed for any lady or female who is struggling to get to another
Level of
another
of getting
family
a spouse.
or another spouse. Yes, please just work out. If you don't know about it, look for a psychologist, look for a counselor who will take you through what it means.
Then how about these ones that are not getting enough attention from their spouse? I have a spouse, I got them, I got her, I got him, but then she or he is not giving me good attention as per the required attention for me as their spouse.
Still it comes back to emotional intelligence. How are you dealing with that man?
Okay.
How are you dealing with that man? Do you give that man a peace of mind, even if you are highly educated or you're rich? But do you give that man a peace of mind?
Somebody would say, I am, she calls me a lot, or he calls me a lot, he sends me message a lot. Sometimes I'm at work, then she's disturbing, or he's disturbing me. I mean, I want you to share the picture for this person that is seeking attention, yet it would be given to them, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you work, you get what you have worked for.
Okay.
You get what you have. You first invest, then you reap. So, the attention, of course, will, even if it is automatically generated that it has to be there, you need to do some kind of investment.
You nurture it.
That's why you create this program, well-being.
True.
The well-being,
The wellness hour.
The wellness hour is a very big tool for any person who wants humanistic opportunities like that one. If it's the attention of your spouse, I mean, you need to be mature, intelligent.
You have to have a prepared mind.
That kind of thing, so that you attract these opportunities. Even if you're highly educated, you're PhD level, and then you're not calm, you're not down to earth, you're not mature, you don't know how to handle situations.
Because these are things that come into contemplation with the people that are faced with them. Sometimes, for example, a woman of 50, he has failed to cope up with men of his age. Then he seeks approval from maybe young boys, young men that maybe she would be able to control at herself, if at all she has money to control them. Or even a man that has failed to cope up with ladies of his age, if at all he's 50, if I may say, then he seeks approval from younger ladies that are of 20, if I may say, so that he may be able to control this young girl or this young man for a lady. But then when they come into play, now the relationship has come to start. In the first phases, the lady, or rather the young girl or the young man, is submissive to this particular partner they got. But then along the way, they get off the grid, they get off track. After getting what they want from these particular people, now they are looking for their suitors, people that may suit them very well. If at all it is age, they are looking for people that are of the same age with themselves. Then they start not giving attention, the required attention, to their main people, their spouses, if I may say. What would be the reason for that, and what should be done? Now this is attention in context we are talking about.
I think they started.
I understand you've talked about nurturing your
yourself,
person,
yes,
and also yourself to receive what you expect very well.
Now, I think this was another mistake that most couples make, beginning their relationship with such targets of expecting attention and so on. The ideal relationship, the ideal functional health relationship is stemmed or is pillared on principles.
Okay.
So, for me, I would recommend, I would say that
Principles, you mean values?
our value is part of it.
Okay.
There are principles under which someone, like for example, if you look at this building here, it is laid on pillars. If those pillars don't stand,
True.
this building would be down already.
True.
So instead of looking for attention as just one small component, it is better you center your relationship, your marriage on principles. And these principles are many. But one of them, I can go through some of them. One is justice.
Okay.
The principle of justice. The principle of communication. Ability to understand and convey
To listen, because
information
communication entails
appropriate.
listening, response,
Yes, appropriate.
contemplation.
Conveying information appropriately. So that principle needs to be respected. The principle of the religious principle, the principle that's when you come to the values.
With the religious component.
Yes, that's another principle. Are they respected or not? So if the values are not respected, then I don't know where attraction will base, if it is to come in place. The other principle is the principle of mutual understanding,
Okay.
understanding each other, and many others, fulfilling conjugal rights and all that. So it is from fulfilling these principles that you get the opportunities of attracting, getting attention of your spouse.
Like I said, the older person in the relationship, they are deliberate to make sure it works. So for the principles, for them, they are deliberate to make sure they are in place and they are fulfilling them. But then along the way, they are losing to get the reciprocal of what they have invested.
Of course, and then they end up being aggressive. I think for people who have differences in age, like the elder person going for a young one, they all that will come back to the principles still. But it's important you don't only look at what you invest in, because you may use a component of money and say,
I'm going to control.
I leave Kamez of 1 million that the young person is not able to live with her, and then you say, I'll use that to control her. No. You are simply creating another challenge, another problem. Where do you think this issue of having extramarital affairs comes from? Where do you think that problem is coming from?
I've had a young girl say that with the marriages we are having today, especially the young couples, she didn't say the young couples. She said, with the marriages we are having today, with every woman that is in marriage today, they have an extra husband, rather man, partner outside that marriage they are having. And this is, she says, this is 80% or 85% of the marriages we are having.
Yeah, it is true because of this kind of situation. Using an item or a smaller component to control a bigger institution or a bigger principle,
which is marriage.
That you have your money, it's the money you use to control the young girl. The young girl totally has very different expectations. Okay, even money could be part of it, but what about the other
secondary,
the other areas? So for us who work in this industry, have realized many other challenges being generated because of that kind of thinking. You create extramarital affairs. like the one you have just asked, that you find that
85% of the marriages we are having,
they have
women
an
that are
extra-
in marriage, they're having extra partners outside their marriages.
Yeah, yes, because the principles are not.
This is gotten
fulfilled.
from a gulf in marriage.
Yeah, it's because the principles are not fulfilled. The sexuality principle,
Okay.
the satisfaction principle of sexuality, conjugal rights is not fulfilled.
Okay.
And for you think you use money to play that. All these are challenges. They are mistakes which are generating more other problems.
Okay.
And then when these other problems come, they come with them other associated challenges. Like, for example, extramarital affairs have generated what we call paternity fraud. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where we're having a father who's not.
Yes, you heard about the DNA saga.
True.
On finding what is the real cause.
The extramarriage.
Just these small things being ignored, then they generate into bigger what?
Problems.
Problem.
Multiple problems, if I may say.
Multiple problems, like that one of a child being denied the proper paternity. A mother will simply keep quiet. Just imagine.
Let me leave this person to look after this child because the real father can't be
maybe
not in position to
maybe
look
even
after.
the real father is somebody maybe whom you can call a shamba boy.
He's within the house, but the household, but he's not in position to look after this young.
So that the principles need to be respected. You see, when you create irrationality in any human being, you cause many
the
challenges.
reaction is going to be
The reactions are very different
Outrageous.
and outrageous. So that's why.
So you are saying the moral fiber,
Yeah.
which is a value component, should be revisited
Exactly.
right from where these people are being
From
brought
the
up.
start, from the start of the relationships.
And also the families that are
And also from the
bringing up
families.
these children that are going to go into marriages. They should prepare them for marriages with that component.
Yeah, and not only looking at one gender, sex.
Because we have a situation where we prepare our children to be lawyers. We have prepared our children to be sheikhs, to be pastors, to be doctors. But hardly have you had a family preparing a child to be a father or a mother.
Absolutely. It's also
Or
another
a wife or husband, if I may say.
It's another challenge that I think people need to wake up and revisit this. Although you're preparing somebody to be a professional, then you also need to prepare this person for other circles of life.
All right. Thank you very much, brother Counselor Male Muhammad Ali. We are at the Wellness Hour, and we are coming at the last bit of it. Our viewers, I want you to give us your last words, a few remarks as we do wind up our session.
Okay, as we wind up, the key to having health, the real health,
Okay.
is having a healthy mindset. A healthy mind
Okay.
is the key to having health, or to being well, to having that well-being.
Okay.
The key to having well-being is to have a healthy mindset, a healthy mind with all the abilities working well.
Okay.
Because if they work well, then we shall not have these social hazards
Okay.
spread all over the.
Okay, I take it beautiful, and I appreciate the fact that your last words of well-being, of a health mind and all that resonates directly with the program we're having, the Wellness Hour. Well, lastly, where should people find you? How can people access you if they so wish to tap into your services as a counselor?
Thank you very much. We have a social platform, and also I don't know whether you want me to give the contact.
It's fine.
Yeah, Mobile contact 0772 893734.
Okay.
And that is what we call the chat line. It can be used for chatting on WhatsApp and even other social platforms.
Okay.
We are into building our permanent permanent home.
Okay.
At Narumunye,
Okay.
Jomai Estate, uphill.
Okay.
That's where we have secured our place, and we want to put there our permanent home.
Okay.
But currently, you can get me at Grand Imperial,
Okay.
Grand Imperial Mall.
Okay. They look for who?
Malay Ali,
Malay
Malay Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a counseling psychologist.
Okay. You work with
A to Z Professional Counseling and Support Center.
A to Z Professional Counseling. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't go any further with this program. I want to presume that every single one of you has been attentive, and also you've taken trouble to see that you pick and understand to do with everything to do with anything or something to do with mental health awareness, and also the problems that are faced with society today. I talked about the cyberbullying. I talked about society disapproving us, job layoffs, and also other associated problems that are within ourselves that we've failed to cope up with as human beings. At the end of the day, we are receiving cases of suicide, domestic violence, and other associated problems as a result of these causes that I've talked about. However, like he said, your well-being starts with you. Make sure you know who you are. Make sure you know how you may react on the various situations that you may be faced with, so that you can be able to be in position to do the coping up with different scenarios that are going to slap you your way. At the end of the day, make it a point to know that you don't dictate what God or life is going to throw you, but then you dictate how you handle what has been thrown to you at the end of the day. And this comes with you being prepared in mind to understand what it really entails when it comes to emotion intelligence. I'm not going any further from this. Ladies and gentlemen, we catch up next time. It's the Wellness Hour with Thurayya Islam Media. Thank you very much, Counselor Malay Muhammad Ali. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ganha.